Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of upcoming episode of Martial Universe Season 6 based on novel. So let's start. A brilliant sun hung high in the sky above the 100 Empire Mountain, as warm sunlight sprinkled down. Its radiance was similar to that of dawn. Everyone, it's about time. Seated on the glowing chair in the air, the grizzled hair man from the Yuan Gate announced as his uninterested gaze swept across the surging crowd below before shifting his attention to other super sect members. Upon hearing his words, the other 7 nodded their heads as well. When he saw this, the grizzled hair man slowly stood up with his hands behind his back and cast a sweeping glance across the arena. The commotion on the mountain peak immediately subsided as everyone looked towards him with reverence. Upon receiving this kind of gaze from the crowd, the thin blade-like lips of the grizzled hair man curled up slightly, as if he enjoyed the attention and reverence that he was receiving. "I am the Yuan Gate representative, Liu Tong." A flat, but firm voice rumbled in everyone's ears like thunder, as the grizzled hair man's gaze swept across the mountain peak. "First and foremost, I would like to congratulate everyone here. The fact that you are able to reach this place speaks volumes about your strength and potential. Anyone who possesses the heavenly grade Nirvana seal is just barely qualified to become an entry-level disciple of the super sects." Upon hearing these words, several people heaved a sigh of relief as if a huge load had been lifted off their hearts, while emotion filled their eyes. They knew that their 1 year of hard work had finally paid off. As long as they were able to enter the super sects, even if they were entry-level disciples, it was enough to do their empires proud. As for the higher-tier direct disciples, these were reserved for the abnormally powerful individuals that had stepped into the Nirvana Golden ranking. Many people were somewhat envious when they thought of this. A direct disciple and an entry-level disciple had completely different statuses in a super sect. As for those who have entered the Nirvana Golden ranking, I would like to congratulate all of you as well. You have obtained the qualifications to become the direct disciples of the super sects, Liu Tong announced indifferently. Next up, there will be a competition of the highest caliber. Only those who have entered the Nirvana Golden ranking will be qualified to participate in this competition. The final ranking you obtain in the competition will determine the degree of favoritism you receive in your respective super sect. As it stands, the last 3 winners have become a member of our Yuan Gate, and are now famed practitioners across the entire Eastern Xian region. As Liu Tong spoke of this issue, even though his tone was flat like before, it also contained a tinge of pride and arrogance. On the glowing chairs, the other super sect members furrowed their eyebrows slightly. Though the Yuan Gate was indeed powerful, they found Liu Tong's words unpleasant to the ear. The old man from the Dao sect shot a glance at Liu Tong while pursing his lips. Due to some yet-to-be-known reasons, the relationship between the Yuan Gate and the Dao sect was not exactly a friendly one. Therefore, it was natural for the old man to despise the arrogant Liu Tong. "Next up, please enter the arena immediately when I call out your names." Liu Tong waved his hand and a glowing scroll opened up in front of him. Qianyuan Empire, Super Empire, Qin Qian. On the mountain top below, Qin Qian looked at the gazes that were directed at him and could not help but smile slightly. He took a step forward and slowly walked into the arena. His poise indeed contained the demeanor of an elite practitioner. Murmurs and whispers broke out on the mountain peak. Gazes that were filled with fear and envy were directed at Qin Qian. They clearly knew that the Qianyuan Empire was a subordinate faction of the Yuan Gate. This time around, Qin Qian would most likely become the champion of the 100 Empire War. At that time, he would definitely enter the Yuan Gate. As such, the Yuan Gate would have recruited 400 Empire War champions in a row. Liu Tong looked at Qin Qian and nodded his head approvingly, feeling somewhat pleased in his heart. It appeared that their Yuan Gate would once again be the biggest beneficiary of the 100 Empire War. Great Desolate Empire, Super Empire, Jishan. A man, whose muscular body was built like an iron tower and emitted terrifying energy waves, walked out from the crowd and into the arena. Divine Empire, Super Empire, Mo Ling. A black-clothed man swept out from the crowd. Powerful mental energy ripples surrounded his body. It turns out that he was a practitioner that specialized in mental energy. As Liu Tong continued to announce the names, the practitioners of the Nirvana Golden Ranking stepped into the arena one by one. Each time a name was announced, an uproar would break out on the mountain peak, and various respectful gazes would be directed at the person who just had his or her name called out. Celestial Empire, Super Empire, Lanying. When Lin Dong heard this name, he raised his head and watched the familiar figure that had just flown into the arena as he softly chuckled. Great Yang Empire, Low Rank Empire, Lin Dong. A slight pause appeared in Liu Tong's voice. Following which, his gaze shifted downward to look upon the slender body youth. Lin Dong. Is that the Lin Dong who defeated the Sky Devil Empire's Songjin? The commotion on the mountain peak suddenly intensified. Numerous gazes filled with intense amazement were directed at the lanky figure. However, at this point in time, no one dared to make any sneering remarks at the mention of a low-rank empire, because the members of a low-rank empire had far surpassed them in terms of strength and capability. Ignoring the numerous gazes of reverence and amazement, Lin Dong moved and landed gracefully on the arena with both his arms slightly hanging down. Great Yang Empire. Lin Diao. Great Yang Empire. Lin Yang. The following two names further intensified the commotion on the mountain peak, while shock appeared on many people's faces. The fact that the low-rank empire Lin Dong managed to barge into the Golden Nirvana ranking was already startling. No one could imagine the following two names were from the same empire. This definitely riled everyone riled. Ha ha, it has been many years since someone from a low-rank empire barged into the Nirvana Golden ranking. Furthermore, there are three of them. The elderly man that carried a sword sheath caressed his beard and chuckled as he stared at Lin Dong from his glowing chair. Beside him, the old man from the Dao sect laughed as well. He stared at Lin Dong with flickering eyes. Great Qing Empire, Middle Rank Empire, Suru. Upon hearing this, Suru's petite figure flew into the arena and landed beside Lin Dong. She then stuck out her tongue playfully, appearing extremely adorable. However, after a gentle stare from Lin Dong, she quickly closed her tiny mouth. This young lady, the beautiful eyes of the pretty middle-aged woman from the Nine Heavens Supreme Purity Palace, suddenly brightened up. She stared closely at Suru as if she had discovered something. Her body actually contains a spirit emblem. Such a promising seed. Seated beside the beautiful woman, a middle-aged man chuckled. This young lady doesn't specialize in mental energy. Your divine sect has nothing to do with her. Our Nine Heavens Supreme Purity Palace will be most suitable for her. The beautiful woman rolled her eyes at the middle-aged man and said. Upon hearing these words, the man merely smiled. He did not have any intention of vying with her over Suru. After all, the beautiful woman was right. Suru was not proficient in her mastery of mental energy, and hence, she was not suitable for a mental energy-focused sect like the Divine Sect. As Liu Tong continued announcing names, more and more practitioners, whose bodies emitted powerful energy undulations, flew into the arena. The gradual convergence of aura caused an increase in the temperature of the arena. In the air, Liu Tong's eyebrows suddenly frowned as he stared at the glowing scroll, before he announced, Great Yang Empire. Lin Langtian. Woe! As these words left his mouth, an uproar broke out. Astonishment flashed across many faces. To think that another person from the Great Yang Empire had made it into the Nirvana Golden ranking. A mere low-rank empire, yet 4 individuals had made it into the Nirvana Golden ranking. Even the super empires did not obtain such result. What did the Great Yang Empire do to enjoy such good fortune? Amidst the uproar and commotion, Lin Dong's eyebrows gradually knitted together. He raised his gaze and saw a handsome green-robed man walk into the arena. That familiar face belonged to Lin Langtian. As Lin Dong stared at Lin Langtian, the latter unblinkingly stared back. On his handsome face, an extremely sinister smile appeared. They were from the same clan, and yet, they were not considered brothers. Instead, they were sworn enemies. Both of them knew there was no way that their differences could be resolved. Lin Dong clearly knew about Lin Langtian's nature. If the latter were to enter a super sect, he would pose a great threat to Lin Dong's family in the Great Yang Empire. Thus, for the sake of his family and getting rid of any problems in the future, Lin Dong would absolutely not allow this thorn to exist. Therefore, Lin Langtian must die. Lin Dong's fist slowly clenched itself, while a terrifying killer intent burst out of his slightly narrowed eyes. There was absolutely no way that he would let Lin Langtian successfully enter a super sect. Lin Langtian walked into the arena and stood at a spot not far from Lin Dong. Soon after, he tilted his head a little and gazed at the latter in a strangely sinister manner with eyes like a viper. A faint yet similarly powerful ripple surrounded Lin Langtian. However, there seemed to be something a little off about this ripple. Compared to the Lin Langtian of before, it was as different as black and white. As he stared at Lin Dong, a cruel smile suddenly formed from the corners of his lips. He extended his hand and cut at Lin Dong's throat from a distance. The motive and provocation behind this action was clear as day. The surrounding crowd was slightly startled by this action of his. Immediately, their eyes swept back and forth between Lin Langtian and Lin Dong. From the looks of it, these two people, who had come from the same empire, were at odds with each other. Lin Dong's eyes were calm as he watched this scene, and no anger could be seen on his face. He could feel that the current Lin Langtian had become much stranger after merging with the Yuan spirit. However, no matter how this fellow changed, the hatred that had taken root deep within his soul had not changed at all. Instead, it had been festered and was now even more twisted. Therefore, Lin Dong did not care whether this body was controlled by Lin Langtian or the Yuan spirit. He only knew one thing: if he allowed Lin Langtian to successfully join a super sect, it would cause Lin Dong countless sleepless nights. "Hey, kid." While killing intent surged in Lin Dong's heart, an elderly voice was suddenly transmitted into Lin Dong's ears. This stunned him for a moment before he promptly lifted his head, turning his gaze towards the old man from the Dao sect. The voice from before was clearly from that old man. The old man looked at Lin Dong for a while, however, his mouth did not move. Yet, a voice was transmitted over, "Little fellow, are you interested in cooperating with this old man?" Cooperating? Lin Dong was stunned once again. He was truly unable to understand what kind of game this great one from the Dao sect was playing. "It's very simple. I don't care how you do it, but do not allow Qianyuan Empire to become the champion." The old man's jovial voice was quickly transmitted over. Lin Dong's eyelids twitched. From the looks of it, the Dao sect and Yuan Gate were at odds with each other. The Qianyuan Empire was a subordinate faction of the Yuan Gate. If Qin Qian failed to win, it would naturally reflect poorly on the Yuan Gate. It didn't seem good for him to get involved in this feud between the two super sects. What benefits will I get? Even with this thought in mind, Lin Dong's mouth still moved. However, no voice was emitted. There were the experts from super sects stationed in the air. The old man could transmit his voice without being discovered by others, but Lin Dong did not possess that ability. Therefore, he could only mouth his words. However, given the old man's ability, he would likely be able to read Lin Dong's lips. He, little fellow, there is a celestial demon Martin at your side. Hence, you can forget about joining the Yuan Gate. Should this fact be discovered after entering the Yuan Gate, you won't have any chance to escape. However, it is different for my Dao sect. We do not have any enmity with the celestial demon Martin tribe. Therefore, you will definitely not face such issues. Moreover, I understand your character quite well. I believe that the Dao sect is quite suitable for you. These are not empty words. You will understand this in the future. Therefore, if you are able to prevent the Qianyuan Empire from becoming the champion of the 100 Empire War, this old man will allow you to join the Dao sect. Of course, my Dao sect will not mistreat someone like you, who has performed some act of merit for us. Lin Dong rubbed his chin upon hearing the words that were transmitted from the old man. An expression of deep thought flashed across his eyes. Currently, he had gained some basic understanding of the 8 supersects in Eastern Xian region. Truth be told, he was indeed the most interested in the Dao sect. The old man before him was also to his liking. After some consideration, it was likely that joining the Dao sect would be quite a wise decision. Moreover, if he was to join the Dao sect, it would be fine for him to offend the Yuan Gate. In any case, he would not need to rely on them when the time comes. Moreover, the old man was surely not one to make empty promises. In that case, Lin Dong smiled when his thoughts reached this point. He nodded slightly towards the old man from the Dao sect. Immediately, his lips moved again. It is possible for me to cooperate. However, I want your help as well. Oh? Go ahead and speak. The old man smiled and transmitted his voice. I want to be in the same group as Lin Langqian in the subsequent Nirvana Golden Ranking battle. Lin Dong curled his lips and slowly said. The old man was startled upon hearing this. His eyes looked towards Lin Langqian and mused for a moment before nodding. He transmitted his voice, all right. I can secretly make it happen. However, that fellow does not seem to be quite right. Are you sure that nothing will go wrong? With the old man's eyes, he had naturally sensed the faint Yuan spirit fluctuation from Lin Langqian's body, causing him to feel a little perplexed. After all, only the experts, who had experienced at least 7 Nirvana tribulations, would be able to possess a Yuan spirit. However, it had appeared within Lin Langqian's body. How could this not cause him to feel a little perplexed? The grudge between the both of us is very deep. We must resolve it here. Lin Dong nodded slightly, while a cold glint flickered in his eyes. Sure, it will be as you requested. The old man was extremely decisive and agreed immediately. It's a deal then. I will also give my all. Lin Dong exchanged a glance with the old man. Their eyes smiled with a common understanding. After which, they turned their gazes away, at the same time without any prior agreement. Hey, given your performance, it is likely that all the 8 great supersects will want you. You will not gain much from this agreement. Beside him, little Martin suddenly laughed strangely after Lin Dong withdrew his eyes. He was similarly very capable. Moreover, the old man did not purposefully conceal his voice when he transmitted it towards Lin Dong. Therefore, little Martin was able to catch wind of their conversation. I am also quite interested in this Dao sect. Since they have a request, it will naturally be beneficial if I am able to help them to fulfill it. I will likely gain some advantage when I enter the Dao sect in the future. Lin Dong smiled and said. Little Martin spread his hands outwards, and did not say anything in response. He did not have any ill intent towards this Tao sect. Therefore, he did not have much objection towards Lin Dong's choice. Numerous figures stood like shadows on the large arena, in the middle of the 100 Empire mountain top. Every individual possessed a shockingly powerful aura. They were all powerful individuals, who had stepped into the Nirvana Golden ranking, and all the top experts that remained standing. Liu Tong looked down, before he promptly nodded slightly. With a wave of his sleeves, an extremely powerful Yuan power spread across the sky. In the end, everyone watched as space become distorted and numerous large light barriers that were formed from Yuan power appeared in the sky. Quite a number of people were shocked when they saw so many Yuan power light barriers formed in the air. Such a feat was sufficient to make them to hold him in high regard. Liu Tong once again clenched his fist after creating these light barrier, which were to be used for battles. A bright light ball appeared in his hand. Within it, one could faintly see lots of light. All the light lots are divided into yin and yang sides. Those who holds the yin side will be the opponent of the yang side. The light lot will direct all of you to your respective light barrier battle stages. Liu Tong's voice had barely faded when the light ball in his hand suddenly exploded. Numerous flashing light lots immediately fell onto the ground below like rain from light from all over the sky. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The light rain fell as the experts below immediately rushed out. All of them used their skills to grab the light lots from the air. Lin Dong did not move when he saw this scene. Instead, he threw his gaze towards Lin Langtian a short distance away. The latter's eyes looked at him in a dark and cold manner. After which, his body rushed out as he grabbed a light lot from amongst the raining light in the sky. The old man on the light chair from the Tao sect narrowed his eyes slightly when he saw this. Swoosh. Lin Dong's body also rushed out at this moment. His hand was extended into the raining light, but did not grab any light lot. Instead, he waited for a moment and saw a light lot quietly rushing over by itself before finally landing in his hand. Such exquisite control. Lin Dong grabbed the light lot and landed on the ground. His eyebrows gently raised. He could sense a powerful Yuan power ripple on the light lot. It was impossible for Lin Dong and the others to enter it. However, the old man from the Tao sect was able to find the precise light lot from these light lots that permeated the sky in a split second and deliver it into his hands. This ability, he was indeed worthy of being a member of the super sect. Sizzle sizzle. As the light lots landed into the various practitioners' hands, countless pairs of eyes turned towards the light lot. After which, they directly flew towards the light barrier battle stages in the sky one after another. A ray of light also shot out from the light lot in Lin Dong's hand at this moment, and connected with a light barrier battle stage in the sky. Meanwhile, another light shot out and connected to the other side of the same light barrier battle stage. Lin Dong turned his slightly tilted his head. His eyes followed the ray of light and sure enough, he saw a dark and cold-faced Lin Langtian. Lin Langtian was clearly startled after realizing the other ray of light was actually connected to Lin Dong. However, an excitement and ferocity that could not be hidden immediately appeared on his face. Lin Dong, looks like you are really unlucky. It is unexpected for you and me to meet in the first round. Lin Langtian stared at Lin Dong and involuntarily let out a cold laugh. Lin Dong's eyes were indifferent as he stared back. However, he did not utter any unnecessary words. His body moved and flew towards the light barrier battle stage. Lin Langtian, I do not care what you are now. However, I will not allow our grudge to continue beyond the ancient battlefield. This place shall be our final battleground. TSK TSK, it is just as I have intended. Lin Langtian's expression was savage. His body rushed out and directly charged into the interior of the light barrier battle stage. A monstrous and unrestrained killing intent spread outwards. Lin Dong, you will definitely die this time around. Killing intent permeated the sky. Lin Langtian's eyes were scarlet and exceptionally cruel as he stared at Lin Dong. An enormous light barrier floated in the sky. Contained within was a battle stage formed from majestic yuan power. From a distance, the stage looked as if it was real. Lin Dong's figure directly penetrated the light barrier before landing on the stage. Lin Langtian's figure also closely followed behind, quickly appearing before the former with a dark and gloomy expression. Can the current you still be called Lin Langtian? Lin Dong raised his head and stared at the now rather unfamiliar person before him, before suddenly speaking out in a soft voice. Che, relax. Thanks to you, my willpower is extremely strong. Currently, I am still in control of this body. As for the name Lin Langtian, it's of no concern. Nothing matters besides killing you. Lin Langtian's expression became a little distorted due to his maliciousness, as he laughed sinisterly. Sad. Lin Dong faintly smiled. The once the famed genius of the Lin clan had now ended up in such a state. Even his personality had something else mixed into it. This is all because of you, you wretched thing. If it were not for you, how else could I have ended up like this? You lowly filth from the branch family. Lin Langtian's expression was sinister as he snarled. He stared at Lin Dong as if he wanted to pluck out the veins of the latter. Back then, there was no need for you to participate in the clan meeting. However, in order to show off, you used my father as a sacrificial lamb and seriously crippled him until he fell into depression for several years. Everything I have done is merely for the sake of repaying my father's grudge. It can be considered an eye for an eye. You can only blame yourself for this matter. Lin Dong's face was expressionless as he replied in a flat voice. It's your father's fault for being utterly useless. I only regret not having killed you at the ancient tomb outside Great Yang City back then. Otherwise, there would not be so much trouble now. Lin Langtian maliciously laughed. His words were truly from the heart. When he first saw Lin Dong at the ancient tomb back then, the latter was merely an ant in his eyes. Just a tiny bit of pressure from his aura was able to pressure Lin Dong to an extremely sorry state. However, in a short couple of years, this ant had grown at a shockingly rapid pace. That speed was something that even he, the most dazzling genius from the Lin clan, could not match. Lin Langtian had regretted this more than once. If he had completely finished Lin Dong off back then, things would be completely different now. At the very least, he would not have wounded up in this miserable state where he was neither a human nor a ghost. Arguing with words is a special right for the useless. Make your move, allow me to see how powerful you have become after transforming into this ghastly thing. Lin Dong smiled slightly. He slowly extended his hand as an icy bone-piercing killing intent surged out from deep within his eyes. Like I said, this time around, you will not be able to escape. Those are my words. Lin Langtian smiled viciously. He suddenly stepped forward as an incomparably violent yuan power ripple swept out from within his body like a wave. Is this all the 5 yuan nirvana stage has to offer? Lin Dong's was unaffected, as he indifferently spoke upon feeling the yuan power ripple. It is more than sufficient to finish you off. Lin Langtian's face was hideous. His large hand suddenly clenched as mighty yuan power whizzed out, transforming into many yuan power light spears, which flew towards Lin Dong's vital spots at lightning speed. Clang! Lin Dong closed his fist around the heavenly crocodile bone spear that suddenly appeared. The spear jerked, transforming into numerous afterimages. Mighty yuan power surged out, directly shattering the numerous light spears. You actually have the audacity to display such an attack. Lin Dong sneered. He gripped his hand as a black metal seal emerged on his palm. Wave after wave of incomparably wild and violent ripples swiftly outwards. Swoosh! The wind furious roared when the black seal appeared. Black light lingered around it while the crouching black dragon once again showed signs of opening its eyes. Suppress him! A cold glint flashed across Lin Dong's eyes. The black metal seal immediately whizzed out. Like a black metal mountain, it rushed towards the sky above Lin Langtian, before violently slamming down. Yimo hand. Lin Langtian's expression changed slightly when he sensed the wild and violent strength contained within the black seal. He did not dare to underestimate it. His hand suddenly grabbed out as monstrous yuan power surged forth. One could see that Lin Langtian's hand become strangely pitch black. After which, a palm clashed against metal seal head-on. Clang! A clear metallic sound resounded in the sky. A circular energy ripple that was visible to the naked eye directly spread outwards from Lin Langtian's palm. The wild and violent pressuring black metal seal had actually been forcibly withstood. Ch. Lin Dong, do you think that I am as easy to deal with as before? Lin Langtian chuckled maliciously at Lin Dong. Immediately his eyes became ferocious, while his palm transformed into a fist at lightning speed as it ruthlessly smashed against the black metal seal. Bang! An extremely terrifying strength overflowed from Lin Langtian's black hand. With a single punch, he forcibly sent the black metal seal flying. That fellow can actually send Lin Dong's heavenly soul treasure flying with one punch. Currently, extremely earth-shaking battles had erupted within the light barriers all over the sky. Everyone felt their blood boil as they watched the intense battles within the light barriers. There was not a single fight in this place that was not interesting. Those who could enter the Nirvana Golden ranking basically possessed extremely great abilities. The intensity of the fights between the top experts of these empires was naturally something that one did not even need to mention. After all, not everyone possessed the qualifications to fight in this arena. Only the elites could challenge one another in this place. On the mountain top, Liu Bai and the rest were naturally focused on Lin Dong's battle. All of their faces changed a little when they saw that Lin Langtian had actually sent Lin Dong's heavenly soul treasure flying. That fellow is very powerful. Yang Sen's expression was solemn as he stared at Lin Langtian. He could sense a dangerous sensation that was even greater than the Sky Devil Empire's Songjin. Both Lin Dong and him seemed to come from the same empire. However, from the looks of it, these two appear to be sworn enemies. Liu Bai frowned and said. Beside him, the Mo Ling trio released a bitter laughter. Their expressions were somewhat complicated as they watched the interior of the light barrier. The five of them had entered this ancient space together a year ago. Yet, Lin Dong and Lin Langtian were now far ahead of them. However, they felt a little sad at this conflict between Lin Dong and Lin Langtian. They were not fully aware of the grudge between the two. However, they could clearly sense the degree of enmity between them. Relax. Lin Dong has exchanged blows with Lin Langtian several times before and has always obtained the upper hand. There are not many in the ancient battlefield that can defeat Lin Dong. Mo Ling said. Although all of them were from the Great Yang Empire, they clearly stood on Lin Dong's side. Liu Bai's group nodded upon hearing this. They had never doubted Lin Dong's abilities. However, Lin Langtian was also no ordinary individual. As expected of the Nirvana Golden ranking battle, Liu Bai and Yang Sen exchanged a look with each other. They could see both desire and regret in each other's eyes. That fellow's arm. Lin Dong eyes focused. His gaze was fixed onto the metallic pitch-black arm of Lin Langtian. He could sense an extremely strange undulation from it. It was likely that this was an unusual martial arts that he was not aware of. Swoosh! Lin Langtian's figure suddenly rushed out. Numerous after images flashed across the sky before flying towards Lin Dong at a shocking speed. The black arm that cut through the air left behind a faint black scar. Roar! Lin Dong's toes pushed down onto the air upon seeing this. His figure rushed backwards as his hand seals changed. The black dragon on the blown-away black metal seal rose into the air and roared at the heavens. The dragon roar directly transformed into countless black sonic waves that swept towards Lin Langtian from all directions. Killing dragon sonic swirl. The black sonic wave swept out as Lin Dong viciously clenched his fist. Countless black sonic waves swiftly gathered together, transforming into a wild and violent rotating sonic wave whirlwind that contained a terrifying strength, as it tore through the sky like a sharp sonic blade and viciously charged towards Lin Langtian. Yimo soul-shattering palm. Lin Langtian's laughed in a savage manner, as he faced this ferocious attack of Lin Dong. He showed no signs of avoiding the attack. His black hand suddenly slammed outwards. Immediately, a monstrous black light gathered together. Various piercing sounds were continuously emitted from within the black light. The black light whizzed out, transforming into a large black palm. It was as if there was the silhouette of a howling demon god within the black palm, an extremely shocking sight. Creak creak. The large black light hand ruthlessly grabbed the sonic wave. After which, it suddenly clenched. Immediately, a sharp ear-piercing sound frantically rang out, while accompanied by an astonishing ripple. Bang! Lin Langtian's expression was sinister. He let out a sharp cry as the black light surged. Numerous cracks immediately formed on the sonic wave, before it was forcibly crushed to pieces. This violent scene caused the expressions on Liu Bai's group to change. Ch chapter Lin Dong. I have said it before. My current strength is something you will be frightened of. Enjoy the great death feast that I have prepared for you. Lin Langtian roared at the heavens. Overflowing black light swept unfurled from his body, covering half of the sky within the light barrier. The black light gathered behind him, vaguely transforming into the enormous figure of a demon god, while a dark chilling aura permeated the sky like an icy wind. Lin Dong raised his head and gazed at Lin Langtian, who appeared just like a demon god descending from the sky. The corners of Lin Dong's mouth slowly lifted to form a savagely cold smile. Green light began to surge on his body as green scales faintly appear. This should be a little interesting. However, it might not be good for you to be overly pleased. Torrential black light surged like billowing black clouds, filling the light barrier. The astonishing undulations that spread out from within the black clouds drew many shocked gazes. Lin Langtian's body was suspended below the black clouds. A titanic figure was faintly discernible within the sky-encompassing black light behind him, like a terrifying demon god that had stepped out from the land of Azura. This is a divine martial art. Astonishment flashed across some of the super sect members seated on the light chairs in the sky when they saw this scene. It is a little similar to the demonic martial arts from ancient times. Looks like there are quite a number of ancient inheritances hidden within this ancient realm. That little fellow has met a troublesome opponent this time. The old man from the Dao sect stared at the vaguely visible giant figure behind Lin Langtian, and muttered to himself in amazement. Lin Dong's eyes hardened when he saw Lin Langtian's monstrous aura. This strange and powerful martial art was something that Lin Langtian did not possess before. Clearly, he had obtained it later on, or perhaps it was something that the Yuan spirit within his body had passed to him. Based on Lin Dong's guess, this martial art that Lin Langtian had displayed was at least a high-grade soul martial art. It was definitely stronger than Song Zhen's Taozong sect martial arts. Black light lingered around Lin Langtian. His originally normal face now had a dark aura lingering over it. His gaze faintly contained some strange black glow, as he stared at Lin Dong. Soon after, the corners of his mouth slowly lifted into a cruel arc, as he extended his finger, and pressed it onto the empty air. Yimo beam. Lin Langtian's finger gently landed on the air. The sky-encompassing black light behind him immediately frantically rushed forth, directly transforming into a beam of black light that tore through air and shot out explosively. Swoosh! The black light beam was so fast that it could not be described by words. Moreover, the ripples from it caused even the experts, who had stepped into the 5-yuan nirvana stage, to be moved. Black light wiggled at the tip of the beam as the black beam tore through the skies. It faintly formed a strange ghost-like face that caused one's hair to stand on ends. Lin Dong watched the light beam, that was swiftly being magnified, in his eyes while his expression grew much more solemn. Clearly, he had sensed the lethality of Lin Langtian's attack. Immediately, he extended his hand as green light swiftly surged onto his palm. The light rapidly gathered together, forming a green scale shield. Bang! The green scale shield had barely materialized when the black beam ruthlessly rushed over and slammed heavily against the green scale shield. Soon after, a shocking ripple frantically swept outwards from the point of collision. Swoosh swoosh! When he saw that Lin Dong had actually blocked his extremely powerful and destructive black light beam, Lin Langtian's face grew even more twisted. He flicked his 10 fingers as the black light behind his body spread, transforming into light beams that filled the sky as they wildly shot out. Even a 5-yuan nirvana stage expert did not dare to underestimate any one of these black light beams. The current attack was such that even the other experts on the nirvana golden ranking would have to evade it instead of facing it head-on. Let's see how many times you can block. Lin Langtian laughed viciously. Now that he had merged with the Yuan spirit within his body, although he had to pay the price of losing his independent personality, the power inside his body far exceeded an ordinary 5-yuan nirvana stage expert. This enormous consumption of energy was clearly no problem for him. He wanted to rely on this fact to forcefully exhaust Lin Dong to death. The torrential black light was just like black meteorites descending from the skies, and their momentum was extremely overwhelming. Lin Dong inhaled a deep breath as he watched this sight, while green light flickered wildly on his body. Lin Dong's eyes suddenly became chilly as the green light flickered. His 10 fingers abruptly flicked. Swoosh! Green light surged, transforming into numerous diamond-shaped green scales that were half the size of a palm. An extremely shocking, sharp chilling glow spread over its edges, causing it to appear extremely sharp. The green scales immediately swept out when they appeared. In an instant, it was as though a green storm had unfurled which collided with the black beams that permeated the sky. The entire sky appeared to have turned into the battleground between green and black. Boom! 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 Green scales and black light clashed. Immediately, several maniacal explosions continuously resounded across the sky as green light and black light frantically unfurled. The wild and violent ripple that resulted caused the surrounding light barrier to ripple. Numerous eyes on the mountain top looked at this exchange in shock. They could clearly sense the dense killing intent contained within their attacks. Both parties had no intention of showing mercy, and they had used a killing move each time they attacked. Furthermore, everyone present was clearly aware that if they were fighting, none of them would be able to block that kind of storm green scales, or the black light beam from either of those two. An incomparably wild and violent energy fluctuation swept apart from the light barrier. 2 figures amongst them were implicated. Immediately, they were shaken until they ended up flying back. Their toes pressed for over a dozen times in the air before they barely managed to stabilize themselves. That bastard. Lin Langtian stabilized his body. His expression was a little ugly. He did not expect that Lin Dong would actually become so much stronger after just half a year's time. Moreover, the thing that really shocked him was that Lin Dong's yuan power also appeared to be extremely vast and mighty. Typically speaking, after executing his previous attack, it was likely that even an ordinary 5 yuan nirvana stage expert would be severely drained. However, judging from Lin Dong's relaxed manner, it was clear that he was not exhausted at all. Huff. A long breath was slowly released from Lin Dong's mouth. He slowly raised his head, and his eyes stared indifferently at Lin Langtian. Due to the presence of the devouring ancestral symbol, he was able to constantly absorb yuan power from around him to replenish himself. Therefore, it was extremely naive for Lin Langtian to compete with him in terms of stamina. However, Lin Dong clearly did not intend to continue dragging on and playing with him. Since he had already fought, he should just directly use a killing move. Lin Dong lowered his eyes. Blade-like sharp, cold glows surged out from within his eyes. Both of his hands were slowly placed together. After which, his hand seal changed with a lightning-like speed. Merge. Yuan power, mental energy and devouring power gathered together within Lin Dong's body. Finally, they poured wildly into the ancient universe formation above his dantian. Swoosh swoosh. That majestic energy was just like an erupting volcano as it transformed into numerous grayish-black light pillars that suddenly surged out from within Lin Dong's body. The entire place shook at that instance. This kind of energy, how unusual. Those people from the super sects on the light seats suddenly focused their eyes when they saw these grayish-black light pillar from merged energy. Their eyes were shocked as they stared at Lin Dong's battle arena. They could sense an extremely faint and mysterious fluctuation. This little fellow is really capable. The old man from the Dao sect stared at Lin Dong with great interest. He was aware that Lin Dong had obtained the inheritance of the Green Dragon Hall. However, he was unaware that Lin Dong actually possessed this kind of unique energy. Swoosh swoosh. The enormous light pillar shot towards the sky. After which, they crossed each other in the sky. Following the agglomeration of these light pillar, the empty area had swiftly collapsed and transformed into complete darkness. An illusionary figure slowly appeared when the darkness surfaced. The illusory figure was blurry. However, one could faintly see that he was standing with his hands behind him. His eyes overlooked the entire area, and a kind of aura that was difficult to describe slowly spread apart, while being accompanied by a kind of ancient feeling. Great desolate imprisoning heavenly hand, forming martial soul. At this moment, Lin Dong's expression was extremely solemn. Along with the great increase in his strength, he was becoming increasingly familiar with his control of his high-grade martial arts, great desolate imprisoning heavenly hand. The shocking strength that he was unable to unleash in the past was currently being gradually unleashed by him. At Lin Dong's command, those light pillars which had agglomerated a large amount of energy, completely rushed into the empty void. After which, they entered into the blurry figure. Buzz buzz. With the pouring in of these energy light pillar, the illusory figure appeared to slowly become substance-like. It was possible to see that tall figure wearing a faint grey robes amidst the blurriness. His blurry eyes seemed as though they were unable to override the world. He is actually able to form a martial arts soul to such an extent. Quite a number of people looked at the illusory figure that emitted an ancient feeling in the empty space. Their eyes contained some shock. A majority of people here knew soul martial arts. However, there was hardly anyone who could unleash their soul martial arts to such an extent. The most powerful part of a soul martial arts was not the might that it brought. Instead, it was the aura of its creator that it possessed. Just a remnant aura from those top experts that lived in the ancient times, would be able to shake the heavens. Lin Langtian lifted his head and looked at the blurry figure in the empty space. An extremely solemn expression gradually surged onto his face, which was covered by ferocity. He could sense the extraordinary power behind Lin Dong's attack. Under the attention of the crowd, Lin Dong inhaled a deep breath of air. Promptly, an aura slowly extended from his palm, before it aimed at Lin Langtian in the distance. In the next instant, a cold glint surged in his eyes as his hand suddenly clenched. Rumble. When Lin Dong clenched his hand, everyone was shocked to see that the blurry figure in the empty darkness had actually extended his hand. Moreover, the most shocking fact was that his hand was actually truly extended out from within the void and appeared in front of the eyes of countless number of people. That was an extremely long and white hand that looked extremely beautiful. However, everyone was aware that it was a hand that had truly existed in the ancient times. It definitely possessed a great might that could rip apart the land. The hand appeared to have penetrated through time, broke through space and came from the ancient times. It broke through the illusion and gently slammed down at Lin Langtian while everyone watched. Boom. The sky crumbled almost instantly the moment the hand slammed down. Even the natural Yuan power had been forcefully shattered by this palm. This palm was actually so terrifying. This video will end here.